Welcome, welcome, dear astrology friends. This is another video with me, Veerle, and this video is about the August horoscopes. August of 2024. What is going on in general? You know, the big themes of the month, and then let's delve into each and every sign of all the 12 signs, and let's have a look at how this is going to play out. Now, in the beginning, when I was preparing this video, I thought, oh, this is going to be a quick one, September. I was forgotten that it's eclipse time. It's eclipse time in September. How could I have forgotten that? But anyways, this shows that it's an important month. It's an eventful month. So I'm going to be talking about three things. And because it's the whole month of August, it's not just the eclipse. So first and foremost, going to start with the eclipse. Also, quite important is Pluto. It tiptoes back into Capricorn again, but for the last time at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So it's also important, and specifically because it's going to connect with Uranus and the Sun in what we call a grand trine, which is amazing. And the third but not least is, of course, the Mercury retrograde that went direct already at the end of August, around the 29th of August, but now it goes out of its shadow. And that's also a very significant thing to talk about. So lots of things to talk about. Of course, the eclipse, I'm going to make a separate video of that later on. But let's start with that, right? This eclipse that we are having is, of course, we know that we have the North Node in Aries still and the South Node in Libra. And those points, they go towards the whole sign of Aries, the North Node. It's now in September around at about 6 degrees of Aries and 6 degrees of Libra. Now we're going to have a full moon, which is an eclipse, a partial lunar eclipse in Pisces. So this is a bit like, a lot of people say like, oh, we're already going to have eclipses in Pisces and we're still in the season of North Node in Aries and North Node in Libra. How come? That is because these points they're going backwards, so to speak. So you could say 6 degrees, then they go into 5 degrees of Aries, 4 degrees of Aries, 0 degrees of Aries, and then they jump it to 29 degrees of Pisces, and then 28 degrees of Pisces, and so on and so on. So here, because we've got a full moon in that month of September, it's at the very end, that full moon of Pisces, 25 degrees, remember? But the North Node is still in Aries. But still we say, so there is a couple of degrees, like 6 degrees of Aries and then the last 5 degrees of Pisces. So you could say, hey, that's a lot of degrees there. Yes and no. That's why it's partial, because that moon is quite a bit away from that point, that mathematical point of the North Node. So that's why the confusion is that we say, hey, we must have eclipses in Aries and in Libra. No, this one is in Pisces. And we're not going to have another one in Pisces up until 2025, but I'll talk a bit more in detail about this. But I wanted to say this already. So it's the first eclipse we're going to have now in many, many years in Pisces at 25 degrees. And it's going to occur around at about the 17th, 18th of September. So the moon will be at 25 degrees of Pisces and the sun will be at 25 degrees of Virgo. So we always have in that month the full moon in Pisces. But now it's an eclipse because it's still, yes, it's a couple of degrees away from the North Node, but it's still seen as very, very close. And so this eclipse belongs to the Saros cycle, 8 south. And it's quite a significant one that has to do with things that separation, losses. No one loves to hear about losses, but let me explain in a minute a little bit further. So this is the eclipse family or the Saros cycle. If you want to know more, check out my video, which I'm gonna put a link below. that explains the Saros cycles. It's an old video of mine, but it's, I hope, still useful. That it is still useful. It's knowledge and understanding about those cycles. And so this cycle of 8 South is all about that separation, losses, and not being forcing yourself into physical activity. That is very, very important. That is all about this this eclipse energy, you could say. And of course, we people, we kind of perceive separation as not nice, okay? But this kind of, when you put it in the context of today, with, on the 17th, 18th of September, you will see that this eclipse is conjunct Neptune. So the separation that this initial Saros cycle is talking about, this separation has not to do with all of a sudden, out of the blue, we're cutting off, or it's something really hard, and it's something that we are compulsive to not want to let go of. No, it's Neptune. It's the loss is with the flavor of Neptune, and Neptune is always very natural, very dissolving. It's almost like, for instance, you could have this in your 11th house of friends, and having this eclipse with the Neptune in your 11th house. But this energy, this flavor of dissolving, might mean that for many years you had a friend, for instance, and 10 years ago you saw them every week. 5 years ago you saw them every month. And maybe a year ago you saw them maybe once a year, right? And now, it fades away, it dissolves. Maybe you're not going to see them anymore. But you see, it's a dissolving energy, which means it's natural. It's not with this great unexpected events and whatnot. No, it's something that you already know is happening, and that is kind of dissolving naturally. So it doesn't mean to say that it's less painful. Sometimes, according to your story, of course, because some people, they will not feel this. It's happening somewhere in their chart, in an area of their life that is not that important for them. So it's very personal, of course. Of course, if you have planets in Pisces and in Virgo at 25 degrees, you will feel it. Even also the ones that have planets between 25 degrees, Sagittarius, and also the people with 25 degrees of Gemini. These are like the people, if you have personal planets there, or maybe an ascendant or a midheaven or an IC, they will feel that very strongly. But other than that, it's an energy. It's an energy of that part of your life. There's something that dissolves. Now, the thing is, it's not just about dissolving and, being out of your life, so to speak, or separate. It's also something new, because this eclipse is with the North Node. This moon is with the North Node. So as soon as the moon goes into Aries, it's like new stuff coming in. So it's almost, for all of us, there's in some area of our lives, for some of us more important than others, and that is dissolving. It's very natural. And after that dissolvement and ending, there's immediately a new beginning. And the moon with the North Node is all about new support systems, new emotional support systems. So this is beautiful, actually. This is another thing. The ruler of all of this, the ancient ruler of Pisces, is Jupiter, and it squares up to this eclipse. So it's even more, you could say in Gemini, it's even more accentuated. That is quite a big thing that we're getting ready to leave. But immediately, it's like there's like this space, right? If you have a closet and it's full and you do everything out, you've got lots of space. And it's like immediately the day after, or second day after that eclipse, you put it back with all new stuff. Aries is new, fresh, pioneering. You see, so it's a very exciting and very spiritual as well, very spiritual kind of karmic ending and new beginning, which is what a full moon is in itself. It's like things come to fruition and it's at its peak, and then it's kind of a new beginning. So what a special partial lunar eclipse we have, for sure. And all of this is in the midst, what's happening else. So that's the first thing that is happening that's really, really important. The second thing that is happening is that Pluto gets back into Capricorn, rounded about, you could say, the beginning of the month, isn't it? That Pluto shifts into Capricorn again. Yeah. And that is, I haven't noted here when. I have forgotten to note this, when that was. But it's in the beginning of the month. It's in the beginning of the month. I'll put it in the description as well when this will be. It's on the 3rd of September. I had written it down. So Pluto gets back into Capricorn. It was at the beginning, the 0 degree, the first degree of Aquarius, and it went back, and now it's back into Capricorn on the 3rd of September, and it's going to stay there at 29 degrees of Capricorn up until the 20th of November of this year. So it's a short pocket of time that we have Pluto back in Capricorn, but it's like that last degree. It's what we call a critical degree, and it means that it's like all the knowledge of Pluto in Capricorn is there. And the beauty of this Pluto back in Capricorn, yes, for some people who've got like 29 degrees, the sun there in Capricorn, or maybe 29 degrees having planets there in Cancer, they will feel it stressfully. Even the people with 29 degrees of Libra and Aries, they will feel that. But there is a huge positive energy here amongst this Pluto back in Capricorn in September, because it's going to form what we call a grand trine with Uranus and with the Sun. The Sun in Virgo is going to make that complete. It's going to, when the Sun hits the last degrees of Virgo, and it's going to do that already around the 16th of September, which is my birthday. Amazing good energy. I'm looking so forward for this energy. And it's from the 16th of September up until around about the 23rd of September, 24th of September, that we're going to feel this big grand trine between the Sun at the end of Virgo. It's going to bump into a trine with Uranus, 27 degrees in Taurus, and then in the other Earth sign of Pluto, 29 degrees of Capricorn. So that is being a grand trine. Now, what does it mean in general? A grand trine means flow. It means flow, going with the flow. It means very easy energy. It means effortless, right? And it's a positive energy, and it seems like things come to you. But of course, it's because of the preparation before that. Now, in earth signs, because this is an earth trine, it means very often manifestation in the 3D world. So a lot of people, and especially the ones who've been working hard to manifest something, they will now, it will seem as it all flows in that area. So of course, earth signs are all about manifestation of the material world. So yes, for some of you, this will mean more money, or a windfall, and especially if you've got planets around that 29 degrees at the end of an earth sign, which is Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo. They will feel it the most, of course. Or if you have there maybe a personal planet like Venus or Mars or Mercury. And but this is great energy. Notwithstanding eclipses, it's always about fate. It's always about things that are karmically there. And so it's like eclipses are there to put us back on track when we went off track. But together with this grand trine, I mean, the eclipse is happening on the 18th and the 17th, 18th, and this grand trine is even starting before that, from the 16th to the 23rd. So it's a very, very supportive time as well. We've got support, even though there is this things that dissolve in our life, there is absolutely in the 3D world lots of stability, because Earth is about stability as well. And then last but not least, I'm going to look at Mercury getting out of its shadow. So on the 12th of September, Mercury is out of its shadow, because then it hits the 4 degrees of Virgo, where it went on the 6th of August, it went retrograde. So you see, there's something also in that area of your life, which is again an Earth house. We're going to look at that, where things flow, where contracts and new ideas can put into place. So you could say a very, very eventful month with a lot of, you could say, spiritual, a lot of flow. If we go with that flow, it's going to bring us a lot of stability and a lot of manifestation as well. And they always say, right, in the manifestation phase, if we want to manifest and create something in our lives, that yes, we can have the desire, and hopefully we will understand that we put the actions into it as well to get to that point if we have a huge gap. But at the same time, it's the energy of letting go, right? You're doing the work, you're being it, you are in that energy of, let's say you want maybe a new car, whatever, or you want an amount of money, or you want a connection, a relationship. You're going to have that positive vibe of, I'm already it, I already have that money, right? So you're not going to check your account every single day, because someone who's got that money in place, it's not going to do that, checking your account every single day. So you embody that. You're doing the actions like an extra work or whatnot, whatever it is for you. Or if you want to meet someone, you go out there, you go out with your friends, you go in workshops to meet people, whatever you're going to do. So you do it with the actions, but at the same time, you let go. That yin energy of you trust that in divine timing, it's coming. So you're being it, you're acting like it, and then it's coming. And that energy of it's coming is very much that moon, Neptune energy in Pisces. That eclipse energy that I was talking about. So I think a lot of people will manifest what they've been wanting to manifest for so long. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's going to happen where the moon is in that eclipse. So let's have a look at the 12 signs very shortly, because I think the introduction is the most important. It's the idea. It's what is it all about. And now we're going to have very quickly, what areas of life is this all happening? Let's start with the eclipse for Aries. This is in your 12th house. This is all about old patterns. It's fantastic for the Aries people who have been struggling a lot with addictions, with patterns that they don't understand from themselves, and that are actually patterns from parents and ancestry and whatnot, that it can let go of that. Isn't that a beautiful thing? That's an amazing thing, actually. And then that Pluto gets back into the 10th house. So for Aries people, all those, what I was saying about manifesting, it's for you really in the 3D world, really connected to work, really connected to money. So there is windfalls there. And the transformation is with the work area. Also the Mercury direct in your 6th house is also a work house. So this might not be so much about relationships for the Aries people, although when that full moon happens and then it gets into Aries with the North Node, that is you. And that is a new you. And because of that, that luggage that you've been carrying on with you, you are lighter, you're going to attract new people into your life, which is amazing. Taurians, this is for you, this eclipse happening in the 11th house. So the 11th house is the house of your dreams, your goals, your wishes for the future, and also groups of people, friends, maybe one friend or many friends. There is like things that you are dissolving. Maybe a group of people that you are no longer feeling that you belong to. It's dissolving and you let that go. Maybe a wish, because it's two things. It's groups of people, maybe social media. You're going to say, I'm not going to do Facebook anymore, or I'm not going to do Instagram anymore, something like that. What it also means is your goals. So maybe there was a goal that you always had, or that you, and it's no longer suiting you. You're saying that goal that I had for the future, I let it go. And the sooner you're going to let that go, the better you're going to feel that trine, that grand earth trine. And you are an earth sign. So if you've got planets at the very end of Taurus, you're going to feel this very strongly. And this Pluto is back in your 9th house, remember? So this transformation in your belief system. What you always believed is no longer your truth. And that gives you this aha moment. Not only an aha moment, it's in the spiritual houses that you have this grand trine. So it's in the fire houses. So this is about your heart, right? It's like old beliefs. Maybe you always believed, I have to work hard for the money. It's not your reality anymore, right? It's all these things that are very, very opening up for you. And Mercury going direct in your 5th house of your heart chakra. Things like hobbies, doing a hobby that you always wanted to do when you were a child. Do it. It's now the time for it. Children, your connection with children, your connection with projects, a new project, a new business, and so on. Very, very positive time for the Taurians, if they can let go of what is no longer serving them. Geminis, the 10th house. This eclipse is happening in your 10th house. This is a letting go. For some of you who don't work, let's say I'm 78, I'm watching this video, I'm not working anymore. The 10th house is your social status and its parents as well. So there could be a shift in your connection with parents. There could be a shift in how you want the world to, how you want to show yourself to the world. So there's something about your energy that you are shifting. Now, for a lot of people, it will be around work. There's something around work that is dissolving. You might leave your job, or it might go very fluently that you leave a job and you get into another one. So, and it's a new goal for the future. Very interesting that this Pluto trine, this Pluto back in Capricorn, which is for you the 8th house, these are the emotional houses. So there is like a transformation because of this. There's a transformation on your emotional level. There is like a freeing up, you could say. On another level, the 8th house is money that you share with other people, investments, and so on. So there could be also something that is very clear now, that is a windfall when it comes to maybe a tax return or an inheritance or something that you've invested in and that you're getting a return on, and so on. Cancerians, you are a fellow water sign from that, the eclipse in Pisces is a fellow water sign. So this is happening in your 9th house. So there is something here that is out of your life that has to do with a mindset. So this is about your mind, by the way. So what you're going to leave behind, or what is here very healthy to leave behind, is an old way of thinking, an old mindset that is no longer suiting you. And it's one that is more spiritual. It's one that is, I've been saying that for quite a while here for the Cancerians. And it's one that gives you more that lightness of being. So those old mindsets that you knew that are no longer serving you, let them behind, whatever they are for you. Maybe you always believed that, maybe you are single and you always believed, men are not good, or women are not good. There's this different mindset now, like, hey, I heal from that. It's a very healing energy for the mind. And of course, you are ruled by the moon, so you're going to feel that eclipse a lot. You're going to feel that a lot of luggage, a lot of emotional crap, actually, you can leave behind. Now, Pluto is back into your 7th house. So you will feel that as a stress point. And that is your relationship with someone else if you are in a relationship. If you're not in a relationship, it's definitely someone that catches your eye. But there is a Plutonian vibe in it, which has to do with power, which has to do the abuse of power. So this is the last call to see it and to get rid of it. whatever it is. So this is the last call of when there is manipulation going on and when there are plays going on, you could say, around power. You can cut them off now. And because it's in a grand trine in your social houses, it's going to have a knock-on effect with your other connections. So it's more healthy and it's more real. And it's more like, this is me and this is you, and we're going to commit 50-50, or otherwise I cut it off. So Cancerians who have been giving a lot, because Cancer is a very giving sign, it's very nurturing, supporting. And when you've been in toxic connections and relationships, you will be able to say no, and to say, especially the later born Cancerians who've got at the very end of Cancer, the degrees there. Leo, this is happening in your 8th house. So this is a very, very intense kind of metaphysical, almost spiritual shift that you're going through, because this is the house of life and death. So these topics could come up for you, particularly the life and the death in your surroundings, and topics like that will be very important for you. It's also about spiritual growth. It's about knowledge of the self, deep psychological understanding of the self. You can get rid and dissolve of old fears, because the imaginative fears is the 8th house. So you can get rid of that, which is a huge relief. And it has this knock-on effect with Pluto back into Capricorn in your 6th house, and then Mercury going direct in your 2nd house. This is all your work houses and money houses and material houses that are very, very favored and flavored. So you could get a windfall in work, for instance, in a transformation around your work, a transformation around, and an intense process that it must have been around health as well. Virgos, of course, this is a very important month for you. You have your new moon on the 3rd of September at 11 degrees of Virgo. So that is for you always around this time of the year that you've got this feeling of a new beginning. But there is definitely, with this eclipse at 25 degrees, something happening in a relationship as well, especially if you're in one. If you're not in one, it could mean your attitude around relationships. There's something that is dissolving, something that, it could be a relationship that dissolves. But again, this is not, don't panic. This is not something that you did not know. It's about the dissolvement of a connection. And it's also about a deepening of a connection, because then that moon goes into your 8th house with the North Node, and that is all about intimacy, and this is all about trust and about authenticity. So there's really a shift, because there's so much happening with you, with the Mercury going direct as well in your, out of its shadow, let's put it that way, on the 12th of September. So you've profiled yourself in a new way, you see yourself in a new way, and because of that, your connections are going to shift, because you see your value in a new way, you see who you are in a new way, you communicate in a new way. Other people, your relationships are going to reflect that in old ones that are not, that are going to fade away, and new ones that are going to come in and that are going to be very, very real and authentic. Now, Pluto back into your 5th house. So you've got all this grand trine, earth trine in your fire houses of the spirit and of the, the heart chakra. So it's all about how you express yourself. You've got that chance here, that last chance to express who you truly are, to transform and to be very real and authentic, and to go through that fear of expressing yourself. Beautiful. So projects and children and new hobbies, new love can come into your life as well. Librans, this is all happening in your 6th house, this eclipse. So this is the house of your work, your day-to-day life, your health. There's something that is dissolving. Let's hope for many of you who've got struggles in their job and who've got struggles with their health, that this is dissolving. It's kind of dissolving and fading away. Now, into newness and into freshness. This Pluto for you is in your fourth house, which is also back into that fourth house. Back in the fourth house is your core and it's your emotional well-being. So you're having this grand trine in the emotional houses, which means emotional support, which means feeling emotionally nurtured, notwithstanding what is fading away, even a job, and you have to look up for another job. You're going to find that quite quickly, especially if you connect with other people. That moon in Aries in the seventh house. So the Mercury direct in Virgo is in your 12th house, and it's going direct, which means that go for that meditation, write your dreams and write what you've dreamt, and they can give you a ton of very, very important information that wasn't available before. Scorpios, your fellow water sign in comparison with the Pisces. So this is happening in your fifth house. Now this is a letting go energy and a go with the flow energy in that fifth house. This could mean love. There's something about love that shows up here, and this is very healing, and it flows with your energy. So there's something healing about it. It's something like you let go of an old attitude around relationships and around power, and you don't want that anymore, and you let go of that. That might be a relationship, a love relationship that you disconnect with, but immediately there is this new energy available for you that you can say like, hey, especially with Mercury in your 11th house, friendships can become more than friends and important, and you've got new hope and new goals and wishes for the future. Pluto getting back into your third house means like you can establish new connections, new social connections, all kind of connections with this beautiful grand trine and transformation of your mindset, how you talk to you. Sagittarians, this is an eclipse happening at the core of your horoscope. So your IC point in the fourth house is where you're coming from, your emotional well-being. So there is something that devolves. This can literally mean a parent. There is like a connection with parents and ancestry that dissolves. It's actually your core that is shifting from the core. So it's deep transformation and deep letting go of old, almost patterns from family patterns. And you could do, for instance, a family constellation and let go of lots of old stuff that actually wasn't even yours in the first place. So a lot of healing energy that is going on with family, that is going on with your core, and that does you a lot of good, because when that moon then gets into the fifth house of Aries, there is this new playfulness, this opening of your heart chakra for sure. And Pluto getting back into your second house, and then with Mercury going direct and out of the shadow in the 10th house of work, there is a windfall on financial, on work level, on the material level for the Sagittarians. And this can be a big one because Pluto in the second, and especially now at that 29 degrees, this can be, especially if you've been working hard for something, that all now things fall into place, and you're getting lots of not only money, but also confidence and strength. Pluto in the 12th house. Capricorns, this eclipse is happening in your third house. There is this new, this dissolvement of how you do connections with the neighborhood, with siblings. This is dissolving how, and this is a new way of how you communicate with people, in a gentler way, in a softer way, in a more way of go with the flow. And that's a beautiful thing for sure. It's also like you could, maybe an old website gets dissolved, or maybe a way how you communicated, you're going to dissolve that. And all eyes are on you again with that Pluto back into your sign. And for a couple of months now, in a big trine with the other fire houses, the 1st, the 5th, and the 9th. So this means that this Pluto is a transformation of you, and is more, it's about your authenticity. It's about how you do your life, and you're not stepping into wanting to be important for the life of others, but wanting to be important for your life, and that has a good effect for others as well. Aquarians, this is your second house. This eclipse is happening in the second house. Now, this can mean, because the second house is a money house, this can mean a dissolvement of things, of big assets that are not working for you anymore. Maybe an old car that breaks down now completely, but you already knew it, that it's gonna go. And actually, it's a good thing. There are things which is a very good time for you now is decluttering for sure. And it's giving away to charity or to sell or whatever stuff that you're no longer using. Neptune in the second house is already being not too attached to the material stuff, but with that eclipse there, it means like when you're doing that, you can get a lot out of the things that you are not so attached to. So it's a very complicated position here, because people think, oh, Neptune in the second, I'm going to lose everything. It has to do with your mindset. It has to do with the mindset of, yes, if you think with Neptune in the second house that money is important for you and you've got to have money, 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 that's not what Neptune in the second wants to do. It actually wants you to detach. But funny enough, I've seen many times when people have Neptune in the second and they see that lesson and they go through that, that Neptunian vibe of, you want to hustle for the money, but do it in a collective way and doing something for the collective and actually from the heart, then I've seen many people getting lots of money in. Now, this Pluto back into the 12th house and Mercury out of the shadow in the 8th house shows that for Aquarians, there's a lot happening behind the scenes. There's a lot in the water houses happening, and there's a lot of support and authenticity for you ready to transform, because this Pluto in your 12th house is about transforming those blind spots, transforming the things that are running you unconsciously, the patterns that are out of your control. You're in control. You're now in control. And so for a lot of Aquarians who've got like those addictions that they say, oh, I always had that and I worked on it, it could mean the end of it. And especially with this big trine in earth signs, but in your emotional houses, can give you tons and tons of emotional well-being. Last but not least, Pisceans, this is happening, this eclipse, in your sign. So the ones who've got planets at the very end of Pisces will feel it the most, but every Piscean will feel that a part of their identity, that it's done and that it's karmically ready now to shift. Because it's the first house, it could be anything. It could be your belongings, your house, your partner, your job. It could be also parts of yourself that you're saying, I'm no longer that, Maybe you have a child that is now studying in another part of the country and you say, yeah, I'm of course always parent, but it's not in the same way. That's a part of me that is no longer there. And it's a very natural thing. So I think Pisceans will really love this energy, because Pisces is a sign in itself that knows that spiritual energy of that nature has its flow, and to work against it is not the best thing. So for you Pisceans, there's also definitely, especially in relationships, shifts happening, because a part of you is dissolving, and that's going to reflect in your relationships as well. Specifically with now Mercury out of the shadow in your 7th house, there is new communication with people, new people coming into your life, or people that you were having a relationship with that is now different, and it's more clear for you what's happening there. So very much about relationships for sure, because this Pluto back into the 11th house and really getting into that grand earth trine, it's all in the relationship houses. And there's a lot of stability there. So there could be a dissolvement of you, in particular, a part of you, but it's going to reflect in also the transformation of your relationships. And you're going to like it, because this is flowy energy. This is earth energy, which goes well with the water energy of the Piscean. Anyway, having said all of this, I wish you a very, very exciting, good, transformational, spiritual, and flowy month. Let's put it that way. Thanks for listening and see you next time. Bye bye.